Africa.
Hello, habari Africa. The new president of Botswana, one day after being sworn in, has challenged African leaders on the issue of free movement of people and goods or services. Listen what Mr. Duma BOKO has said concerning about the issue of free movement of people and services.
People from Zimbabwe, people from Namibia coming in. One of the challenges on the African continent, we must admit, is the difficulties in free movement of goods and services.
Yes, kings and queens, that is the new president of Botswana, Mr. Duma BOKO. Of course, the issue of the free movement of people and services or goods are always undermining the development of Africa. You wonder that the Frenchmen can use single passports to move around all over the continent of Africa, and no one is being asking him about these visas and these restrictions. But when it comes to Africans, you are going to be asked a lot of questions, and sometimes you need almost 34 passports to move around the continent of Africa. You see the Chinese is moving around the continent with only single visa or single passport. So, my dear kings and queens, this is paining, and that's why you see the new president of Botswana, Mr. Duma BOKO, has talking about this issue. And of course, as the people of Africa, I think we need to sit down and see what is difficult for us, the people of Africa, to allow our businessmen and women to move free from this continent and to find opportunities, and allowing them to invest in different sectors in our mother continent, Africa. You know, this colonial hangover that Mr. Duma BOKO has said has been put in place to make sure that Africans are not going to be investors of their own resources. If you allow Africans to become investors, it means you are going to remove opportunities for the former colonizers, and that's why you see they have put these colonial restrictions to see that it is difficult for Africans to move from Niamey in Niger to Mbabane in Swaziland, or it is difficult for someone from Gaborone in Botswana to go and invest in Dakar in Senegal. You see, but it is very easy for Frenchmen to come to Dakar and do investment. But when it comes to Africans, lot of restrictions. Africans, we need to wake up. We need to change these issues if we want to move forward. And always have been saying this. Our leaders, especially previous generation, they need to allow the new generations or new generation young people to take the lead of this continent. If this continent will be given to into the hands of young people want to see integrated Africa. Young people want to see borderless continent. But our elders, leaders who are in power, sometimes I don't know what they fear, to allow or to come to one day to sit down in Addis Ababa and to decide that from now and then we are going to have single visa for the continent of Africa. What is difficult? If Europeans are moving free or sometimes using single passport in our mother continent, Africa, what is difficult for Africans to move free in this continent? I remember one day Aliko Dangote lamented about that he has been restricted or required to use almost 34 passports in order for him to move around the continent of Africa. And all of us, we know that Aliko Dangote is a big investor in Africa, and some people say maybe because of security issues, what security threat Aliko Dangote is going to impose in some countries. While we know him very well, but when it comes for Africans, it looks like it is difficult. All these are just because of colonial hangover that Mr. Duma has said. Africans, we need to change. We have been undermining our own developments. And this restriction sometimes something affecting transfer of knowledge from one country to another. We have seen some people or some areas where there's some knowledge, but because of this visa restriction and these passport issues, it is difficult for someone to move from maybe West Africa to come to East Africa, or the same to East Africa to come to southern part of the continent. So you see how it is difficult. And sometimes even on the issue of investment, when it comes investment opportunities, Africans, we are looking to the West, we are looking to the East, we are looking to Asia, but we are not looking in the continent of Africa. When it comes to the issue of constructions, for instance, you see many roads are being constructed, bridges, stadiums, but those who are building those stuffs are Chinese, Europeans, but you can't see Africans being involving in building these roads. For instance, we are talking about these corridors, central corridors and eastern corridors. So all these corridors are supposed to be built by Africans. So, but you will not wonder if you see the Chinese are those who are going to build these roads and railway. But if Africans, we can remove these borders, we can remove these restrictions, we can allow Africans from different parts of the continent to come together. If engineers, maybe engineers from South Africa can come together to and make company with engineers in Tanzania, engineers in Kenya. So these engineers can come together and say, this time we are going to build these roads, we are going to build these stadiums. So, but because of this colonial hangover that we have, we don't see that Africans are supposed to be free. We are still embracing these colonial borders. And that's why we need to remove these colonial borders so that we can have no these visa restrictions and these passports. So, my dear kings and queens, those are just my opinions concerning from what I heard from Mr. Duma BOKO, the new president of Botswana. I'm waiting to hear from you also. What is your concern from what Duma BOKO has said? And I wish Mr. Duma BOKO will engage African leaders and see how we are going to remove these borders. We should abolish these borders. We want borderless continent where people will move free from one place to another. Even we have these borders, but we need to allow Africans, especially African investors, to move free from one place to another. African professionals, let us allow Africans to move from one place to another. We are not foreigners in this continent. If we allow Frenchmen, Europeans, Chinese, why it is difficult to allow Africans? So, my dear kings and queens, those are just my opinions, but I wish to see one day the borderless continent where people will move free from one place to another without being asked about these visas or these passports. Thank you.